I would like to welcome everyone to Finweek Bratislava 2025, the 9th Finweek so far. It's my honor to be the moderator for these panels. We bring together fintech leaders, regulators, innovators, and policymakers from Central Europe, ASEAN countries, and beyond. Before we begin, I would like to thank our partners who makes this event possible. Thank you to our main partners, the Ministry of Finance of the Slovak Republic, National Bank of Slovakia, and Visa. And a special thanks to our conference partners, Slovakia Travel, Embassy of Poland in Bratislava, CRIF, Slovak Credit Bureau, DECTA, Golden Gate, Blick, DevOps Group, Fumbi, Bratislava Stock Exchange, TPA Slovensko, Prosper and Pavlović, University of Economics in Bratislava, and Matej Bell University in Banska Bystrica. We also thank our AI stream partners, TechMates, and our official networking partner, IDEA. A big thank you to all our supporters and media partners. We will talk about MiCA, PSD3, FIDA regulation in practice. And we only have 60 minutes. I would like to welcome our panelists. We have Gregor Boltar from Slovenia online. Welcome, Gregor.
Welcome, everybody.
Martin Peter, Head of Banking Department, Ministry of Finance. Jan Prochadzka, Member of Bank Board of Chennaba. Great to have you here. Jonathan Middleton, all the way from the UK, Director of Financial Services. Peter Pensesh, Head of Crypto Asset and Innovation Section at National Bank of Slovakia. With no further ado, we will start the panel discussion. And the opening question is a broad question. MiCA in practice. Let's get practical on MiCA. What are the most common and costly mistakes firms are making right now when applying for licenses? Are national regulators truly equipped to handle the load? So we start with a negative part and hopefully finish on a positive note in the end of the panel discussion. This question is mainly for Peter Pensesh and Jan Prochadzka. And Peter, you can follow up after them.
Yeah, thank you. MiCA is very topical issue now. Thank you for the question. We are now in the process of handling applications we received, and you asked about the common mistakes. And the common mistakes are mostly related to money, people, and IT security, those three areas. With respect to people, MiCA requires directors of crypto asset service providers to be able to oversee the whole operation of the company. And since the companies are usually small, they have difficulties to prove that the single director, because many applicants have just a single director, is able to oversee the operation of the whole company. The other common mistake is they misread the prudential requirements. It's not only fixed amount of capital they need to have, that amount of capital depends also on total costs they incurred in previous periods, and they often think that having 125,000 euro is all that they need to prove. And the last one is the IT security. For crypto, IT security is not negotiable. So we require them to prove with penetration tests that their IT security systems are robust enough. And that is costly and that takes some time. So those are the most common mistakes we see on the part of applicants. And then you asked about capacity.
Yes.
I think here we should take a more global view on what's going on in Europe with MiCA. Currently, there are about 90 MiCA entities on the market. Out of those 90 companies that get the MiCA license so far, 40% are traditional financial institutions that extended their services to crypto world. They do not need to undergo the whole licensing procedure. They just notify competent authority that they want to enter crypto market. They submit very limited amount of information, and then after 60 days, they may start operating. We have N26, Revolut, Clearstream, TradingView, banks and investment companies that did just this. They just simply extended their operation into crypto world. And the rest, the 60% of the entities that have MiCA license, if we look where do they come from, they are French, German, Dutch, Maltese entities. Entities established mostly in these 4 countries. And why is that? Because these countries had quite robust pre-MiCA regimes. So the learning curve these companies had to take before applying was much shorter than the learning curve in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, or in other countries where there was no such a steep learning curve to get the license. And coming back to the question about capacity, I think we have capacity to do our job right. It's not our job to do licensing fast. It's our job to do licensing properly and to build really sustainable crypto market.
Thank you. Jan, will you follow up, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. So you said, let's go practical. So I think Dua Lipa is singing, let's go physical. But it's a good idea. So I'll just continue. I can just sign what Peter mentioned. In Czech Republic, I will speak about Czech Republic because I think that we are some kind of real-life testing ground for MiCA, because we have 233 applications for MiCA in Czech Republic. So it's quite surprising. It's maybe quite shocking, but it's a real fact. And what was mentioned here also, we have so many countries, not 4 of them. We have like Kenya, Uzbekistan, South Africa, so many countries all around the world. So there is nothing like some Baltic Stream or something. There is all around the world. And we have to also question ourselves what is the reason why they are asking us, mainly if this I don't know, strength of the regulator, or I don't know, the openness of the regulator, or our discussion about bitcoins in the reserves, maybe. But we were thinking about it, and maybe one point is that this is a fee structure, because our fees, license fees are quite cheap. We have less than 1,000 for the fee, so it's 800 euros, I think. We have no monthly or yearly fee in the supervision fee, so maybe this could be the reason. Other reason is that we have 30,000 WASPs, so these providers of the crypto services. We have 30,000 registered in Czech Republic, so it was also quite shocking. There were no active. It was like so many people. They just fulfill some form like that. They are registered for something. Doesn't mean that they provide this operation. They are miners, mainly investors and stuff like that. But they were registered, so it means 30,000 people who have to do something according to the MiCA. And this is it. And the problems and the real life was mentioned here. So the main problem is that all the applications are generated by AI. So and there are some funny ways, like, because they are really doing properly. So it means they are really perfect. you cannot find so many mistakes, but it's still translation because it has to be in Czech language. And there are some translation matters, so it's lost in translation. For example, like male and female, it's translated like samec and samice, which is, I don't know, who is not from Slovakia or Czech Republic, it means something from the wild, animal kingdom, so like the people, I don't know, some monkeys are samec and samice, but people are male and female, but the translator doesn't understand, so we have so many applications for samec, and this is the first thing. Second one is the application, you have to pay some fees, so this was the first hurdle for them because they were unable to pay. They did so many mistakes in the payment procedure, which is quite easy, I think. And then what was mentioned, so things like business plans, so personals and firms, and all this documentation. So I think that we have the same problem and same challenges and as our Slovakian brothers.
And what is your expectation? How many from what you received will pass the test?
You mean my expectation or expectation of the market?
Okay, actually, 100% for them, for you?
My expectation of the bank board is quite low. My expectation is maybe higher. Expectation of the market is 100%. But I really don't know. There are something is completely, some applications are completely crazy, like really weirdo people, which I think are unable to be or capable to be on the market. But I think that there are so many, as was also mentioned here, which are providing services in Czech Republic or in CE region. So I think that there will be somebody who will be successful, who will succeed in this procedure, but I really don't know how many.
Thanks.
Very good. Now, core debate regarding not only MiCA, but also the FIDA, revolution or trap. FIDA promised an open finance revolution. Is this a genuine catalyst for a new business model or a security and data control nightmare for banks? I don't know who would like to speak about this. Yeah, I hope Jonathan will be on this one.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here. So I think I might talk about FIDA from what we've observed recently in the United Kingdom. So, of course, FIDA is thinking about open banking and then extending that across a broader set of financial services products and the data about people's lives. So we in the UK, of course, have been thinking about open finance, but we've also been thinking about what we call smart data or open data. So this is multi-sector data sharing, so energy, telecoms, retail, so shopping. And the UK government has been running a challenge that they call the Smart Data Challenge. And we've been supporting them on that with a Smart Data Sandbox. I think what's really clear is when you think about the insights that open banking can generate in order to drive customer benefit, there's enormous benefit if you then extend that firstly across financial services and then into the rest of the economy. I think it's fair to say that the learnings of the benefits of open banking have kind of been slow, and it's interesting to see actually what's landed. I think when it was first being hypothesized and rolled out, people had quite grand visions of what it could do. And it's taken the market and consumers a little bit of time to actually find that sweet spot about why people want to use it and in what ways. So if we think about open finance across, maybe it's pensions, certain types of insurance, other types of investments, et cetera, we in the UK and certainly in other countries that are thinking about open finance and smart data are beginning to see companies think about new products. That's the kind of rosy, optimistic picture. I don't think anybody's quite fully cracked what it will look like when it's implemented, particularly around, it's the unknown unknowns in terms of potential insights that people might feel nervous about, the data ethic implications as people begin to draw correlations from different data sets. So I think the opportunity is real, and different countries are beginning to test this now. So this recent experience that we helped the UK government with, companies were building the most amazing, innovative products by getting these data insights, helping people earn more money, save more money, be more secure in their online lives. when the rubber hits the road, I think it will take a little bit of time for people to actually see the benefits. So that's how I'd see it.
And I would like to invite Gregor to the conversation here as well. And you're free to comment on both MiCA and FIDA.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all. Well, I honestly believe that we're in the phase when we invented a wheel. And now we have to figure it out what we are going to do with it. So we have to invent cars, buses, trucks, and so on to serve to people's life. And before that, we have to invent what to do with it. So, and on the other hand, we are talking about regulation and let's say traffic laws, but we didn't invent the car yet. So that's my first thought about it. Of course, we need sandboxes, and we also need a lot of participations of institutions that we can test it, how these things can work, and what are, let's say, drawbacks, what are the problems that we really need to address with the new laws. Otherwise, we have a lot of, let's say, traditional laws from the traditional finance field that can be applied to the new digital world. And I honestly believe that there is also among the people, there is a lack of education into financial instruments and relationships, and it must be addressed that because from there, the logic of how to operate other instruments is coming from. So that's my first thought about that.
Okay, no problem. Can I just jump in?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here.
Several points. I think Gregor mentioned it quite well. I have a feeling that we are sometimes thinking too much ahead with MiCA is relatively, we can discuss whether the regulation was, because when we started the discussion about MiCA, it was a lot of people were very positive and enthusiastic about, okay, we will regulate. But now we see that that the market is not ready. We have big companies, we are financially financial institutions that are already on the market, but will it really help the startups? Because some of them are not ready, or most of them. I don't want to be negative, but this is the impression I have, and the same I see with FIDA. What we saw, Payment Services Directive 2 came with the idea of open banking, and in Europe, I think in Europe, not the UK, the use of this concept was not developed. Yeah, so we do not see thriving businesses that use exchange of data between banks and payment institutions. And now we come with even larger concept, even robust, complex, costly, very costly. We go from garage startups to a market where a startup will not be able to enter because the cost to enter will be so high. So I'm like FIDA as a concept is good, but the question is, and I wanted to come back to you. Should we focus more on maybe case by case business models? So companies that are or to provide supervisors with the tools to allow for helping of new business models or new products that actually use exchange of broader set of data, but on case-by-case basis, or create a new framework, but risking that this framework won't be used by the businesses?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think so. If you look internationally, so the Australians and the Kiwis, for example, in terms of their approach, they have an overall arch to their legislation about where they'd like to get to, but they're pragmatic and they basically have a timeline which is sector by sector. And then within sectors, they can build out particular use cases. In the UK, and this is, I think, speaking a little bit to your good observation about where's the value going to be and what's the right structure. We have quite multiple different regulators that oversee and probably would have a role in overseeing these different data schemes in these different sectors. It's actually quite a complicated landscape. What the UK has tried to do is run some innovation challenges to kind of prove the hypothesis of what could be built. So it's run it's about a 1-year process, and it's selected 10 or 15 companies, and they provided access to synthetic data from these different data, exactly, and basically said, if you could get access to this data, what is the benefit that you could deliver to people? And so what they've tried to do, sorry, one quick point, Gregor, is actually, is to actually try to answer that question that you've rightly identified, which is, let's not run before we can walk here. Let's actually prove this out. Because in proving it out, they were able to identify how would this work from a user permissioning perspective, the user experience, what are the legislative issues, the regulatory issues, and how do we bring people on that journey? But I think they've taken a small step-by-step approach.
When they will finish the cycle, when we will know the answer?
So the UK has passed a law which gives permission for the different regulators to begin, or the powers for them to begin to implement this. So that's where. So we're still at a very early stage. The individual challenge that they ran for 1 year to encourage companies, the event is in November. So I can introduce you if you're interested in finding out. But the final event is in November to announce the winners and the results of that.
Okay, thank you.
Gregor, please. You wanted to say something.
Maybe that whole thing reminds me on the film which is called The Night in Museum, when General Custer said, Americans, we don't think, we do. So there is 2 different approaches. In US, they go to the action and regardless of the consequences. And then based on the, let's say, trying approach, they see where the leaks are and they try to fix it. I have an impression in Europe, we would like to first regulate it, and then with that we set the frame and do it there. So everything has pluses and minuses. But this approach in UK I really like, because it sets the frame. Here you can play with it, and then we will see what to do. But it's in the control way. So I believe it's a good approach of mixing of everything.
Great example of a sandbox approach there when it comes to regulation and how we can use the data specifically. Yes, please.
Maybe I will just add one sentence. As our French colleagues always said, that regulation means or brings innovation. It's quite funny always, because it was mentioned it's not as easy. But we as the Czech National Bank are not the big supporters of this FIDA regulation, and also we have the FIDA and also this SCDDD, this Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. So this is amazing. These two things, I think that if we will cancel it, delete it, so I think nobody will cry. But I will add maybe one thing to you, because you said how it can help to support the fintechs. So maybe one thing in MiCA in Czech Republic, there is one adding sentence in the law that for a crypto providers, there is a legal right for access of the payment solution. So they have the main problem with the bank account, because crypto is always on the top of the risk. So they were quite nervous. The banks do not open or close the banking account. So there is one thing which supports fintech or crypto industry to be able to provide the services.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I may add on FIDA, I would also say that FIDA is not a silver bullet. FIDA is replicating one mistake that the PSD2 did. PSD2 mandated banks to give access to the data on payment accounts to third parties, but it didn't set one standard how to provide this access. And it also prohibited banks from charging fees on access to the data. The banks didn't have incentives to do the job right. They followed the letter of law, but they didn't follow the spirit of the law. And that's why it was very difficult for third parties to integrate such a wide variety of APIs that were on the market. And FIDA is also not providing answer to the question how to ensure the access, what would be the standard the data owners had to follow in designing the APIs. So that's why it may end up similar to PSD2.
Peter, that's very good you bring it up, because the API is a really hot topic. And if you want, you can continue 1 more minute regarding the API issues, and then maybe a follow-up from Jan and Peter. Martin Peter, sorry. Oh.
Yeah, the thing with APIs that simply there are so much heterogeneous, and one difference in FIDA is that under FIDA, the data owners, either banks, insurance companies, investment firms, they will able to charge fee for access, and it's called they can charge reasonable compensation. But then this brings another complexity. What is reasonable compensation for access to API? And there was one more challenge with FIDA regime, and it was whether it will not provide too much space for big tech companies that are very good at handling data and use data for not only creating good financial products, but also targeting advertisements. So I think that was recognized in the legislation, and now the big techs are out. They cannot be the third parties, but maybe it's not finished yet. Martin knows better. But that was another challenge in the design of FIDA. And we heard quite a lot about FIDA in earlier panels, but I think we should all bear in mind that this is law in the making. It's still not finished, and it has a long transitional period. There are 2, 3, and 4 years until it fully becomes effective. So this is not something that is tangible, that is here. The opportunity is quite distant and quite, we will see how it will all end up. Therefore, when looking for opportunities, I would, if I were the market player, I would maybe look for those regulated sectors or unregulated sectors better. But if I were to go into regulated sector, I would probably choose the sector where the building has been already built. Like MiCA is a good example of legislation that is here, that is in effect, together with all of the regulatory technical standards. So there it's quite clear what needs to be done.
Now, Martin, please.
Yeah, but Jan, you wanted to add something?
We get
No,
back
I
to
will-
Jan.
I
We
will
get
just
back
sa-
to Jan. No worries.
I will just sum up where we are with FIDA at the time. It's in trialogues, but it's not moving forward. And this, what you mentioned, the gatekeepers, the tech giants, it's still not solved. It's still not finished. There are questions about the scope regarding the institutions, regarding the extent of data. And the industry is, and parts of industry, insurance companies, also banks, they are now starting to be, or they are very constantly opposing FIDA in many ways. So there are big questions about how to proceed, whether it will not stop the trialogue. So it's very open regulation at the time. Yeah.
Let's continue, and we move the debate forward. And now comes a big question. We've just heard regarding PSD2, and maybe a mistake not regulating it and mandating a standard regarding APIs. Is FIDA repeating this mistake? Do we find synergies between PSD3 and FIDA? How does PSD3 and FIDA actually work? Now it's going to get really difficult, very hands-on. Do they work together? Are we actually building a seamless data framework, or just two somewhat overlapping regulatory silos? I mean, this question is a tough one and provocative. So I don't know who would like to start on this one.
I will just add something general to this. One important initiative that is now ongoing in Europe, in Parliament, but mostly in Commission, is the simplification of regulation. It was started by Draghi report. It was last year already. No,
It was last year.
My God, and now all it's not visible from the outside, but there is a huge work, and there are teams going through the regulations, primary regulation, secondary regulation, and deciding on whether we need this, whether we need that, and this FIDA framework, PSD3 framework. They can be reviewed in the process of their creation. They are already touched by the simplification process. Yeah, so this is the process that's going on. I think it's a good one. It takes time because the regulation is so complex on the financial market. You from the financial institutions, you know how complex, how many compliance costs you need to get how much compliance with the regulation costs you. So I think the omnibus or the simplification, CSSD, wow, oh my God. This is a huge process. I think FIDA will be touched, and one thing we should avoid is to create overlapping regulatory standards, and as far as I know, we are repeating the PSD2 mistake, not providing with the API standard, because then you will have competitive standards, and from the point of view of a bank or insurance companies, how many standards you need to apply on in order to provide your data to your competition. Yeah, it costs you money, and you lose business and you lose opportunity. So, we should really think about this in more detail.
I think we all agree on that. But now comes the big question: are we able to follow the Draghi report and cut down on regulation? I mean, if you have created an organization that its main purpose is to create rules and regulation, organizations tend to do what they're created for. That's just a fact of life. So how far have you gotten in this process? That's the follow-up question. The microphone, please.
Now Commission is reviewing the regulation, so it's also part of the so they can argue that not just creating new regulation but reviewing the old one.
I have full trust in the Commission and
they-
their wants. There's no doubt about that.
They will hire couple of thousand people just for the. No, I'm just joking.
We all of us are friend of simplification. Yeah, of course, of course. I was with my minister, Mr. Stianura, in Ecofin in Denmark. I don't know, 3 weeks ago. There was a big discussion with Madame Lagarde. And there is a main problem also in wording, because simplification and deregulation, and they really don't know if you say that you would like to cancel something like this, as I mentioned, this FIDA and CSDDD, something like that. They were quite shocked if I'm trying to promote that this could be something we can think about it or negotiate or something like that. Because if they are speaking about simplification and deregulation, they are still afraid of capital requirement. And this is the story, because everybody's afraid of capital requirement. Of course, they have to be robust, stuff like that, but they are, of course. And if we are speaking about simplification, I mean that let's not do things like that. And I will maybe add some simple case from Czech Republic, because we did in Czech National Bank some homework. I think we did some gold plating homework. So we were trying to find which kind of legislation is gold plating in Czech Republic, and we found dozens, maybe thousands, okay, not thousands, but so many things we did as we would like to be perfect supervisor. So we were trying to do it as hard as we can, but now we can find that we can live without it also. So we promoted to Ministry of Finance that after election, which were held, 3 weeks ago in Czech Republic, that we can think about some simplification also in Czech law, because there are some things that we add and which make no sense.
That leads me into my follow-up question. We can have European Union-wide regulations, and then they're implemented on a national level. How to create some better standard of national implementation? That is a topic that is necessary. Otherwise, I don't see these simplifications to make such a big difference. Seeing that every country, they add their own little perspective to it, and sometimes a new perspective is added simply for translation errors, as I noticed in some legislation.
But you can see this because now a lot of regulation is in the form of not directive that you need to transpose into your national law, but in the form of regulation that is directly applicable. Yeah. So I think this is one, and it already started with AML and other frameworks. Yeah, exactly. Because AML was one of the pain. That was a challenge for startups to fintechs, but also incumbent bank financial institutions. So you directly impose the regulation or the rules, and you do not need to wait for the national legislation to change something, add something, or omit something. Yeah. So this is one way.
AML is a good example you're mentioning. They were not only talking about national different implementation, but each bank implemented differently to make it even more complex. Should we have some maximum and minimum legislation where the banks have to keep in between, or they will be sanctioned in some way, because individual banks do this very differently?
I don't want to point finger, but here are guys responsible for checking whether the...
That's why I'm looking at them.
I think the answer is already here. And Martin mentioned it, that we see more and more law being written in the form of regulation, and more law coming in the form of implementing acts, specifically in the area of anti-money laundering. Now we are in the process of implementing 6th AML package, which consists of 2 regulations, 1 directive, and there are around 50 implementing acts under these 3 level 1 texts. So in the future, there will be much less room for divergences. And this trend you mentioned, Johan, about differences in national rules, I think Europe found the answer to these differences, and in a way, in the sense of unifying the regulation and thus ensuring that we are all more unified in the Europe and more perceived as one jurisdiction. This is a process that's been going on for at least 10 years. So I would not be that much afraid about this being a problem in the future.
That's really good to hear, Peter. Now over to the British or UK perspective, and then Gregor from Slovenia. And then we'll move on to the next topic we'll speak about today, CETRA and the CE AI sandbox.
I was actually going to bring in an Irish perspective.
An Irish perspective?
Yeah, well, I think so. So we're lucky to work with the central bank, and I was going to come at it from a slightly different angle. So I recognise everything has been said regarding the specifics of regulation, the legislative mechanisms. I think one of the things that that is interesting to note is in a few different jurisdictions, and Ireland's one of them, a kind of proactive set of measures that the central bank is beginning to implement in order to help the ecosystem, both the banks, the technology providers, in order to comply with both the specifics of the regulation, but also the policy outcomes that it's really looking to achieve. So the Central Bank of Ireland, for example, ran a program around financial crime and stopping fraud. And so they ran an engagement process which brought together both the banks and the technology providers in, again, I'll keep on saying it, but in a sandbox. And they basically said, how are you looking to partner? What types of technology approaches are you using in order to achieve the policy outcomes that we have? Do you need answers from us in terms of whether this is allowed or not? And then what could you actually do to improve, for example, your anti-fraud or your KYC compliance? And actually, we saw kind of partnerships basically accelerated by 12 to 24 months in order, for the banks to use technology partners to better comply with their regulatory obligations. So I think there's one set of conversations around the specific wording of the regulation, and then a second thing, which is the angle I'm coming at it from, which is, are countries and central banks and regulators and authorities trying to provide a set of other support services around all of those in order to help the ecosystem comply with the obligations and achieve the policy outcomes that actually I think everyone's trying to get to, right? We don't want to see more fraud, right? We want to see good compliance checks, right? KYC, money laundering, stopping terrorism financing. And so how is the government and the central bank providing services to support the compliance? So I think that's just another angle that I'm beginning to see as a trend across the world, actually.
Irish pragmatism.
Indeed.
Should we name it that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And the Slovenian perspective, please, Gregor. We would like to hear your...
Well, there is few of them right now, but one of what I see very interesting is, let's say, all the compliance are in serve of preventing frauds, hacks, and so on. But there is one general problem. because all legal entities are trying to comply to something, okay? But criminals don't. And right now, all nowadays topics like digital services and digital finance and so on are running on the basis on white web, not dark web, of course. But white web became more similar to dark web because we can see there is a lot of data breaches, hacks, and so on. So only legislation cannot solve this. Basically, what we need to think about it, maybe into the, let's say, near future, is to start thinking about white web. And that means what could be first steps to them to that is to build closed circles. And with the blockchain technology, it's possible, you know, and it's possible pretty fast to do it, and it's because it's not necessary to build it from the scratch. So closed circles are okay, but there is also but there is another step how to communicate one closed circle to another one to be able to the data of whatever can be can travel, you know, and that's so it's more about the question of security.
That's very wise words. I like the idea of the white web. It's the first time I'm here it minted, and if you were the first saying it, well, it's yours. Yes, regarding the white web being like the dark web, every day I can see 10 advertisements from crypto fraudsters on my Facebook page. If people lose money on this, shouldn't Facebook be responsible, since they allow fraudsters to advertise openly in the open? It's just mind-blowing from my mind that these platforms have so little control. And I'm not a big fan of over-regulation, but they should be held responsible. Just a short comment on that, and then we will move on quickly.
This should be just basic regulation, because I saw Elon Musk, our President Pellegrini, our Minister Kamenitsky, they all advised me what should I buy, where to invest, you know. So it's but jokes aside, it's how is that possible? And you even report it, and I do if something like this pops up, and then it goes to my feed again in 2 or 3 days. So they do nothing. Simply, they just take money and do nothing. I don't think that's the good approach here.
Now let's move on to Cetra and the CEAI sandbox. That's our last topic for today, the potential to create a unified testing environment for AI fintech solutions in the region, ready to cooperate with multiple regulators and inspired by the progressive examples from Asia and the UK. Now, when we will see this in Visegrad 4 and later on in the CEE?
I can jump in a little bit on this. I mean, I think the word sandboxing can mean a lot of different things to different people. I think let's just honestly recognize that. But I would say that there's a few different models that are emerging. So the first is where associations want to better enable the ecosystem. I'll use Fintech as an example, between the banks and the technology providers. And so particularly with the focus on AI, we do a lot of work with banks, and everybody's looking at the applications. So what is an environment which enables the large regulated institutions and the technology providers to be able to better collaborate, and for the institutions to be able to run their tests on the AI providers to make sure that it's within the risk profile and their own internal understanding of the regulation. There's a second kind of model, which is more around economic development, and it's where different governments want to provide access to compute hardware, to GPUs, in order to encourage local startups. And then there's a third kind of model, and we've seen this a little bit in the UK because our Financial Conduct Authority launched a supercharged AI sandbox earlier this year, which we work on with NVIDIA for them and AWS. And there it's both about understanding what AI can do for them to be able to understand its applications in financial services, potential risks, et cetera, but it's also about providing an environment where the regulator can engage the ecosystem to get their perspective on what AI can do, its policy implications. And so I think across those three different use cases, because actually sometimes there's overlap between them, sometimes it's a blended model, I think we're seeing a lot of interest in terms of the capabilities of supporting local companies, because they need help to be able to build, whether it's access to data or access to compute. They need a good environment to be able to demonstrate their services and demonstrate that they are compliant. And regulators need a way of kind of understanding what's actually happening in my system to make sure that like I'm happy and I can understand the policy implications. Now, the EU AI Act is coming by August next year. As it currently stands, every jurisdiction will need to have an AI sandbox. Exactly what that looks like, I think, is still to be confirmed. I think it's fair to say. But I think that there's going to be a lot of interest and a lot of benefit for ecosystems who are able to kind of provide a set of services across those three use cases that I described. And sometimes you get benefits of scale, right? And actually, there will still need to be local implementations sometimes, right, of AI sandboxes, because that's going to be something under the EU AI Act as it currently stands. But if you can begin to think about supporting local companies, providing a way that large enterprises can test AI companies safely, that actually you can sometimes get benefits of scale. And so I think it's a very exciting initiative from some of the descriptions that I've heard over today. And we'll have to see over the next few months how that evolves, exactly what benefits they're looking to land. But I think from the excitement that we've seen in some of the other jurisdictions that we work in the UK, for example, I think there's a desire from industry for these types of exercises.
I will move over to Peter Pensesh, since you have lots of experience from Sandbox at the NBS.
Yes, thank you. I think creating a sandbox in the supervisory authority is not an easy task. It took us more than 1 year. And our sandbox is it's regulatory, so it's about getting in touch with the industry, with companies that already got a license, that wish to come up with a new product or service. They need to discuss with us before they roll it out. So it's this model of sandbox we are operating, and it's similar in other countries in Europe. AI sandbox is something different. It has more solid legal standing because it's in the AI Act. Certainly it's true what Jonathan said. Every jurisdiction has to deal with this obligation to establish AI sandbox, and it's good that there are companies that are ready to advise on that and help in that progress. What needs to be borne in mind is that AI Act can be entrusted to responsibility of different authorities in different countries. In our case, we do not have any role in the AI Act. The National Bank of Slovakia is out. It's going to be Ministry of Informatization that's responsible for implementation and also supervision of AI systems. Therefore, when we speak about creating sandbox for more countries, then one needs to take into account this complexity that there are different players in different countries that needs to be involved. But certainly it's good that I heard from our Ministry of Informatics that they are well looking for inspiration, and they are looking into other jurisdictions what they are doing. They want to do it in a good, solid way. So certainly it's good that we have this discussion about possibilities.
Now we're starting to come to the end of the debate, and we come back to where we started, regulation as catalyst. Is the EU comprehensive approach, MiCA, FIDA, too slow compared to the agile market-driven sandbox approaches in the UK and the ASEAN countries? This can be answered by all panelists, but I would like to hear Jan Prochadzka on this one, because we haven't listened to you for quite some time now, and then the rest of the panelists.
Because we have no experience and we have no history with sandboxes, so we have just I cannot add something because Simona Michalikova was in the panel, so I think that it will be successful story, I believe, in Czech Republic. And to sum up the question, so we were speaking about MiCA, so I think that we are about getting implementation right. So this is the main point. My closing remarks. PSD3, so it's. We believe that this is some kind of incremental update because we believe in Czech Republic the PSD2 makes some step, but as was mentioned by my colleagues, I think that we estimate more because it's open data and open finance. So we still there are so many banks who acquired a fintech solution. And it's not what we thought 10 years ago, that it will be that they will move forward, they will go for IPO or stuff like that. But now that somebody is stronger, they acquire them and then stop it or not. So this is that. And FIDA, we believe that this is the wrong path. And according to this burden of legislation, so I think that it was discussed. So I think that this is my closing remarks. Thanks.
Thank you, Jan. Anybody else would like to close up with your closing remarks? Gregor from Slovenia.
Well, my thought is that we have to find the bridge between, if we are talking about the finance, between the classical finance instruments and relationships and laws with the digital one, because it represents the form. And this bridge must be found, and then we don't need so many new laws, so we can avoid over-regulation.
Thank you. Martin?
Yeah, I should continue where Gregor finished. I think the way forward is smart regulation. We have to look on what the market really needs and what can increase or help market participants, and sandbox is one way forward. How to help fintech or innovative companies and innovating products, but it is also up to the market participants. Yeah, so I strongly urge market participants to come together, initiate some changes and some business models, or try to open new avenues. And for us and for colleagues from central banks, for us it's the task to try to help them. Yeah.
Thank you. And Peter?
Maybe very short remark. We are open supervisory and regulatory authority in National Bank of Slovakia. We are open to dialogue, and we discussed a bit about sandboxes, but I want to say that we have also Innovation Hub in National Bank of Slovakia, and we like to engage with market before the market files an application with us or takes some, big move. So I would like to encourage anyone who has a good idea and needs informed discussion with the regulator to use our innovation infrastructure and especially our Innovation Hub.
And last, Jonathan, you can round it up in less than a minute, I hope.
No, I think it's worth recognizing that there will always be a dynamism between the innovation that the market is providing and the types of services they want to use, the business models, the technology, and the very appropriate desire for that to be done in a safe and responsible way. So there will always be a dynamism there. I think what you will have heard here, and I'll defer to my colleagues on the stage, is the fact that they are open to the conversation. So if you are an industry practitioner, as Peter just said, we're here to listen. I think it's fair to say. So take that up, right? Because that's a great thing in and of itself. So I think that by having the conversation is how you can make sure that that dynamism is directed in the right direction.
I would like to thank the panel. I would like to thank the audience. It was a very interesting discussion on regulation in practice and sandboxes in particular.